Hi everyone, a very good evening and a warm welcome to Plaintier. Amanti, I am audible, aren't I? Oh, Satya, if it's difficult for Amanti to answer. Satya, I am audible, right?
Yep.
Okay, all right, thank you. Yes, sorry, I needed a moment to compose myself because the song made me feel a little emotional all of a sudden. I wasn't expecting it to because I've been binging Friends for the past 2 weeks. So I mean, I've been listening to this every day, and suddenly it just got me all emotional at this point. So hi once again, and it's great to see so many new names and mics. So once again, to all of you who join new, a very warm welcome to Plaintier, and we look forward to your participation, contribution. And මම හිතන්නේ අද අලුත් අයත් ගොඩක් ජොයින් වෙලා ඉන්න නිසා මම ප්ලේන්ටියට පොඩි ඉන්ට්‍රොඩක්ෂන් එකක් දෙන්නම්. අපි හැම සෙනසුරාදාවකම මේ වෙලාවට රෑ 8ට Zoom වල හම්බ වෙනවා. අපි සාමාන්‍ය එක එක ටොපික්ස් ගැන කතා කරනවා. තම තමන්ගේ ඉන්ට්‍රස්ට් ගැන සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කරන්නේ හැම සතියෙම කවුරු හරි එක්කෙනෙක් ප්‍රසන්ටේෂන් එකක් කරනවා and then we have a discussion afterwards. So I mean if you think about it, this is kind of like this place where all the nerds and geeks hang out every Saturday night. This is a place where all the Rosses get together. And I should mention this. So next week we are having this useless trivia night where we get together and just talk to each other about the useless trivia that we know. So yeah, could it be more Ross-y? So yes, right. So this presentation is going to this discussion, sorry, is going to take a different approach to what we are usually used to. So every last Saturday of the month, we have this movie discussion where we talk about the political, social impacts of different films. And this Saturday, we decided not to take a film, but we decided to take a Friends TV show because of the reunion. And we thought we'd maybe go to take a different path. We'll have something fun oriented. And I think it is important to talk about the political social aspects of Friends as well, because if you're in the discourse of how Friends has affected or has impacted the entire, I mean not the entire world, but how Friends has had an impact on popular culture, you might be familiar with various conversations around how Friends hasn't really aged well, and it focuses a lot, it has a lot of white privilege in it, and all these political problems. And while these problems are very, very important, I think it's also important to keep a balance and also remember that Friends actually did respond to political sensitivities at the time. And I mean, whatever we do now, even if we have the best of intentions, whatever we do now is going to appear very outdated in about 20 years, right? So I think මේ වගේ ප්‍රශ්න ගොඩක් අපි දැන් ස්ලයිඩ් එකේ ඩිස්කෂන් එකට යනකොට ස්ලයිඩ් එකෙන් ස්ලයිඩ් එකට කතා කරනකොට මේ වගේ ප්‍රශ්න කොහොමද මතුවේයි. ඉතින් ඒ ස්ලයිඩ්ස් වල මේ අපි කතා කරන ඒවා වලට ස්ලයිඩ්ස් වල ඉන්ටර්ස්පර්ස් වෙනවා මේ සෝෂල් ලේවල් වලට අපි ફોකස් කරන්නේ Friends TV show එකේ plot twists or maybe alternate endings and stuff like that. So we'll take a very light-hearted approach to all of this. And also we all, I mean, those of us here, we know that this is a show that gives a new definition to family as a whole, and also in the reunion also they talked about how this show depicts a time when friends are family. So with that note, I think we'll start the presentation. So yes, Amanti, do you have anything to add to what I just said?
No, Roshan, I think we can go ahead with this slide.
Okay, all right. So just to warm up, which friend are you? Which friend do you think you are? Can we maybe type it on the chat? If you want, you can raise your hand or unmute your mic and speak, or you can just type it in the chat. Can we just do that, for a warm up, to warm up before we get into the discussion? Mix of all six, right? Thank you. I think I'm a mix between Ross and Phoebe at times. I thought I was Monica, but I think I'm a mix between Ross and Phoebe. Okay, Monica and Joey, Rachel. Oh, I'm Ross. Yeah. Okay, great. Would anyone like to talk about why they think they are this character? You can unmute you. Sorry, you can raise your hand if you feel a bit awkward to, just unmute your mic and talk. Okay, all right. Nivanti, would you like to share with us which character you think you are? Okay, sorry. Okay, all right. Right. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your answers. Right. So I think, yeah, Amanti, we can go on to the next slide. And Amanti, maybe you can tell us which character you think you are as well.
Definitely a mix of Monica and Ross.
Okay. All right.
Okay, I'm sorry about the box that you might be seeing. Yeah. So yes, this is one of the biggest questions in the whole series, and I'm sure the whole fandom is divided on this. So we thought we'll go for a poll about it. And Rosina will launch the poll in a second, and you can vote. Okay, there you go. You can vote whether you think they were on a break or not, and then we'll talk about it.
Okay, I think I'm going to end the polling now because it seems to have stagnated. Okay.
Right.
Can you see the results?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, all right. So a lot of people seem to think that they were on a break, and like 7 people say that they were not on a break. So would anyone like to explain their answers? If you're comfortable with it? Yes, yeah, that's my sister. Yes, Aki.
I think they were on a break, but I also think that doesn't really excuse what Ross did, because they were like on a break for all of 5 minutes and he went and slept with somebody else. So I don't think that's exactly excusable.
Yeah, I know. Just because you have one fight and then suddenly you go and sleep with someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else? Anyone with a different view? It's okay. I mean, you can share your opinion here. No problem. Okay. All right. Okay. So I think we can maybe go on to we can proceed with the next few slides.
Right. So from here we have few questions where we are asking what you think about these alternative versions. So what if Ross never said the wrong name? And what if they went ahead with the wedding? So what do you think that it would have been a successful marriage? Do you think they would have been happy? We'd love to hear your answers on it. So you can either raise your hand or you can type it in the chat also.
Yeah, Sanduni has given an answer for the previous one, but that is fair because Ross thought Rachel was with Mark, I have a different opinion, Anthony. Like, yes, you can think that your partner is with someone else, but at the same time, maybe like that doesn't mean that you also have to do the same thing. Like, that is my opinion. I don't know. What do you think, Amanti?
I'm actually with Aki on this one. I think
Sorry?
they were on a break. I'm with Aki on this one. I think they were on a break, but then I'd be really mad if this happened to me. So like 5 minutes is way
Yeah.
too less to go and
Yeah, no, I think Santani's point is that it's
yeah,
okay because Ross thought that Rachel was with Mark, so then it's okay.
yeah.
Again, but yeah, again, like I feel like just because the other person does it. Okay, we have a lot of comments. Muru says he was drunk, and Oshani says being drunk does not give an excuse. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Okay, so we can maybe go on to this question that Amanti just asked.
I think you might have
Okay,
answered.
now there's an entire conversation about the and cognitive effects. Okay, all right. Mm, okay, so about this particular question, what if Ross never said the wrong name?
Given
Okay,
that
we are still in the game being drunk. That conversation is still happening on the chat. Okay, all right. Okay, maybe yeah, Amantika, can you maybe go to the previous
yeah,
slide so we can have this conversation? Yeah, but Rachel always messes with Ross's love life, so I feel like one mistake can be justified. Yeah, like later on, I felt so annoyed with Rachel, with I mean the way she, especially when she goes to ruin the wedding and all of that. I mean later on she is like very yeah
I
yeah
also
yeah.
agree with Sanduni on what she said about Rachel always messing with Ross's love life, and I think that once you watch the yes, it's true that what he did was wrong, but when you watch the entire
Mm.
series, it kind of balances things out because
Yes.
Rachel sabotages Ross so many times.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Akira says, Sandhani, at some point you have to stop hating her. Well, I mean, Rachel is my least favorite character too. Yeah, Oshani says, I think yeah, about Emily, I think they would have been happily married for a year or two and then got divorced. Then Uka says, we have to talk about boundaries of being on break. For me, break means you are allowed to be with someone else. Yeah, that is very important, right? Like in a relationship, when it comes to consent and what it means to be on a break, like there should be that communication that should happen, and maybe they didn't really have that. They were not really aware of what the other person expected. I don't know. Yeah, about Emily's and Ross's marriage, Ranmali says it would have been a failed marriage, I guess, because Emily will keep on doubting Ross.
yeah,
Um,
that's a nice point.
yeah, I think she started doubting him only because he said the wrong name, right? Before that, I think she was okay. I mean, she was okay with her being invited to the wedding and everything. It was just afterwards that she started to be a little, possessive of. Yeah. And Gihan says, from Ross's point of view, Rachel said they were on a break. Wait, just I lost it. And went to Mark from Ross's point of view. Equals they were seeing other people, and Himaru says it would probably not work. Again, Emily's marriage, it would probably not work out because Ross is an infamous divorcee and he's just too good at it. Plus, Rachel is Ross's lobster. Okay. Vatsala says Emily will emotionally blackmail Ross. Okay, good, interesting. Anything else? You can also raise your hand and talk. I think in the script David was supposed to say Emily.
Ah, really?
Uh, yeah, David
Okay.
Schumer got it wrong, I think.
Yeah, he
By
got no.
mistake,
Yeah,
he said it's
yeah. I
not.
take the Rachel. Yeah,
Yeah,
So from
yeah.
that,
No, no.
they turned the story
yeah,
around. I mean, they played along those lines.
yeah. Then they played around.
All
Oh,
right. Okay. Okay. Oh. So
okay.
that means they like the they. Okay. Wow. So they changed the entire plot line because of, oh, as in like, sequence of events because of that. That's interesting.
Shall we move on to the next question then?
Yeah, at the
There
same
should be a script relevant to Ross saying Emily, I think.
Oh, wow.
But maybe producers said that it would be better to go with what happened as a mistake. Not for sure. I don't know what would have followed. But I read somewhere that David was supposed to say Emily. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, at the set he accidentally got it wrong, saying it's Anmali, and Vatsala also says because he had a crush on Jen. Yeah. Okay, nice.
I think though they were, as far as I know, they were looking for a way for the actress who played Emily to leave because she was pregnant. So they were looking for an out for her. So I don't know if this was the out or not, but she was going to like there was a plan for her to leave around that time anyway.
Right. Okay. Nice. Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. So this is kind of relevant to the previous question. Now Emily comes back. We think that she's coming back to talk it through, and they would go on their planned trip and all of that. But then Rachel is there. So this is again related to the previous one. What if Rachel wasn't there? But then I think Roshna, we answered that question already, right? That this wouldn't last. A lot of people said that.
Yeah.
So shall we skip this?
I mean, does anyone want to answer this question maybe?
Well, yeah, I have something to say. I think this like shows a character pattern in Ross. Like each time he thinks one relationship is over, he immediately becomes shipped to something else, which is really like annoying. And I also don't understand the hate that Emily gets from a lot of fans, because if you put yourself in her shoes, that's like the ultimate betrayal. Your fiance says another woman, like his ex's name, and then you see them like getting ready to go on the honeymoon that you plan to go. Nobody would react in a good way, and I think suspicions later on are totally justified.
Oh, and Matil, I have one problem with Emily. Again, Ross Kekat, now she was with Ross for 2 weeks, but that was also, I mean, she was kind of cheating on Colin, right? It was England Gihira, then she breaks up with Colin. And then after that, when she marries again, the night before the wedding, she calls Ross to, talk about her second thoughts about the wedding. So that shows some pattern in her as well. And that's kind of why I personally don't like Emily, but I think all her jealousy and all of that is kind of justified. But like, I personally don't like Emily because of Colin and the second marriage and trying to get back with Ross just before the wedding. Yeah, Sandhuri says, yes, people don't defend Rachel. And when you do the wrong, it's not wrong, but others do it, so it's more than wrong. Okay, all right. Yeah, yeah. Anivandi says Ross was all messed up and feeling vulnerable, and Rachel took advantage of it. If she was a true friend, she should have left him and gone back to New York. Yeah. I mean, yes, Rachel is also that, and I mean, again, Ross shouldn't have done that. I mean, both of them were wrong. Yeah. I don't know, maybe. Anything else?
What?
Okay. Okay, so yeah. So this is one of the most favorite things I love to do, especially when it comes to my life also. I try to trace the beginnings of everything, kind of like a butterfly effect or the small stone effect, or stone chuti tiny stone pondered damma. There are like large ripple effects, and then there is something huge that comes out of it. So I'm going to list some of the scenarios where I traced back the beginning of it. So Ross and Rachel getting married in Vegas, I traced it back to Phoebe. So Phoebe I think you can go before that, Toss. You can go on and on before that, but I'll just start from here. So Phoebe says that so when she gets to know that Rachel is going to be at the apartment alone, Phoebe says something like, I walk around naked at home at my apartment, and then that gives Rachel the idea, and then she dances around naked in the apartment, and then Ross sees that from his apartment, and and then obviously the two of them get embarrassed about it, and the next day on the plane, Rachel says, well, I don't usually get embarrassed. I mean, okay, fine, it just happened, but I mean, I don't embarrass easily. And then they have this contest of, embarrassing each other, and then finally Ross draws this face on Rachel, and then Rachel ends up with this face, and then because they can't leave the room, because she doesn't want to leave the room, they stay inside the room, they get drunk, they play games and everything, and then they go out and get married. So that's one. So I saw the beginning of all of that. I traced that to Phoebe. And the next one, next slide. And this is one of the shorter ones, maybe. Joanna, Rachel's boss at Bloomingdale's, she dies, and then Rachel gets transferred to personal buying, where she meets Joshua and Emily's uncle. And then Emily's uncle tells her to take Emily to watch the opera, but Rachel doesn't want to because she wants to go with Joshua. And then Emily goes with Ross, and then blah, the rest is history. And then the next slide. So this is a longer trace of events. So where it all not where it all started, but more like where Ross and Rachel ended, and then everything else started, like Chandler, Monica, and everything. So I'm not really sure. I think this happens in the first or second season. I'm really not sure. I can't remember. Monica loses her first job. No, sorry, she gets promoted in her first job, and then she gets 5 steaks. Like the meat supplying company gives 5 steaks, and she thinks that she can give it away to people, so she gives them away to people. And yes, second season. Thank you, Anne. So she gives it away to she gives these 5 steaks away to people, and and then she's fired for it. Then she goes and works in the diner, the 50s diner, and that is where Rachel and Mark meet. And Rachel gets a job at Bloomingdale's, and then the two of them fight on their anniversary, and then yes, and then everything else. So this is one way in which I trace the beginning of a lot of things. I traced it back to Monica. So anything like this, any other instances you can think of? Yeah, Ranmali says, yeah, in Vegas, if Rachel and Ross were not drunk, then Monica and Chandler would have got married at Vegas that day. Either way, one of the couples could have tied the knot. Okay, right. Anything else? Anything, some other butterfly effect or um, small stone effect that you can think of? You can put it on the chat, or you can raise your hand. Oh yes, that's a good one. If I remember right, Monica ended up in bed with Chandler because she was embarrassed that someone mistook her for Ross's mom. So yeah, just one comment. Oh yeah, Joey going to Central Park and calling out for Mike. Oh yeah. Yes, so just one tiny thing. Yeah, yes, did anyone want to speak?
Shall we move on?
Yeah, sure, if no one has anything else to. Okay, in Vegas, marriage of Ross and Rachel. If Vegas, if Vegas marriage of Ross and Rachel never happened, series would have ended in 5 seasons. Okay. they would have probably found other ways, keep it going. But yeah, that's a good one. And then, I mean, obviously, like all of this started with Rachel coming in. But I suppose even if Rachel didn't come in, I mean, there'll be other plot lines that would have happened. Yes. Yeah. Anything else? I mean, we can talk about any other insignificant, suppose like at the beginning, very insignificant events that later on transpired into huge plot changes and twists. Okay, Amantia, maybe we can move on to the next slide.
I just realized something. Can I say a big butterfly effect thing?
Yeah, sure. No
If Ross's father didn't videotape the prom night thing, Rachel would have never kissed Ross.
Oh, yes. Yeah, thank you. Anything else? Any other?
Not right now, but this is a fun game.
Yeah, and also if Chip wasn't late, etukota take video වෙන්නෙත් නැහැනේ, so yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Chandler's and Monica's proposal wouldn't have happened if Phoebe didn't take Rachel and Monica to Art Gallery Museum. I felt like I thought that was a plan. Like I thought that was Chandler's and Phoebe's plan. කියලා මට හිතුනේ. Because at the end, Chandler and Phoebe hug. So I don't know. Maybe I got it wrong. I thought that Chandler and Phoebe planned the entire thing because Phoebe caught Chandler reading magazines, magazines with ring designs, and then the two of them start planning this, and it was like a plan from the very beginning. If it weren't for Mr. Heckles, Joey and Chandler won't be roommates. Oh, yes, because Mr. Heckles pretends to be Chandler's new roommate, right? Okay, nice, thank you. Yeah, this is fun. Any more? We can spend some time on this. You can like think about all of these, like very insignificant things that later on led to large events and plot changes. Yeah, Mr. Heckles' example is so good. And if Jack Geller didn't and if Jack Geller didn't video, and also somebody says if Ugly Naked Guy didn't die, Ross wouldn't find out about Monica and Chandler so soon. I guess. I think he didn't die, right? He left the apartment. I think. I'm not sure. Yes. So yeah, if that apartment wasn't vacant, Ross wouldn't have found out about Monica and Chandler so soon. Anything else? Unattractive nude man. Yeah, Rachel's mother's words. Okay, so maybe we can get back to it. Like if you remember anything, you can put it on the chat, no problem, even if we have moved away from this slide. So no problem, because this is like really fun when you start thinking about it. I mean, it's like one of my biggest hobbies. So I try to trace everything back. So yes, so even if you remember something after we move away from this slide, you can always type it in the chat. All right, okay.
Question, Rosha, do you see a big black box in the middle of the screen?
Yes, yeah.
Let me stop sharing it.
Okay, all right. Yes, what if Rach didn't quit Central Park? Yeah, that was something that I brought up in my in this sequence of butterfly events as well. Wait, I think, yeah. Oh yeah, that, okay, all right, yes. Yeah, what if Rach didn't quit Central Park? Yes, and if Mr. Terry didn't want the second training, right? Yeah, good. Yeah, sorry, I got it mixed up. If Mr. Terry didn't want Rachel to have a second training, then she wouldn't have quit her job and everything. Yes. Okay, cool. Then we can maybe move on. So please, if you remember anything, please type it in the chat. We can keep referring to them again. Yeah, what if Richard was okay with having kids with Monica? Yeah. Yeah, Amanti, I guess we could maybe talk about this.
Yeah, so this was actually said in the reunion as well. So one of the most iconic things about Friends, if you compare it with other sitcoms, is their facial expressions. Like they almost all the characters, maybe not Monica, but the rest of them, they have this very good facial acting. I'm not sure what the technical term, but that is one of the main elements that Friends use to create humor. So yeah, I just wanted to add that because I think that is one of the most important uh, like acting elements in Friends that we might not notice at first as a different element, but it's there all the time and it adds to the humor. Rosha, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to add something. This is actually something I found out like yesterday. There is this one face, there is this one particular pouting, not pouting, but a cute දාන face එකක් තියෙනවා මේ රොස්ටයි ජොයිටයි දෙන්නටම. If you can remember that episode where Joey gets kidney stones, ඊට පස්සේ ඒ දෙන්න අර kidney stones එක බලන cute ගාගෙන අර අමුතු pout එකකින් බලන stones දෙක දිහා. So I was wondering now, Friends is something that that responded to what was happening. So I was thinking that maybe that face was also some kind of like response to something that was popular. Like for example, Bugs Bunny gattahama, there are a lot, like we find it funny, yes, but there are a lot of jokes which are completely lost on us, because most of these jokes were actually responding to what happened in the 1940s. So while we do find it funny, they are not as funny as it would have been for people in the 1940s. So Evage, I was wondering if this face also was linked to some kind of popular thing that was happening around at that time. While I was thinking along that terms, I realized that Phoebe's face in that scream where she screams Monica, Chandler, and when she sees Monica and Chandler from the apartment, from the ugly naked guy's apartment, I realized that that face, that expression, it's actually a parody of this painting. The Scream by Edward Munch. Blue sky with yellow lines. There's this famous painting, and that person in it is screaming exactly like this. And I found out that Phoebe's scream actually was meant to mimic that painting. So I found that interesting. So it's really interesting how there are elements like this in which they try to respond to what was happening and respond to things that are fashionable and in vogue at that time. Yeah. Yes, Ross, the king of expressions. Yes, definitely. He's so adorable. Yeah, I can still hear my eyes and pivot. If Chandler and Monica, okay, these are some butterfly effect stuff. If yeah, I think Sanduni and Muru talked about what if Rachel didn't leave Barry at the altar in the first place. Yeah, that's what basically starts the entire thing as well. If Chandler and Monica got married in Vegas, Mom would have never proposed to Chandler, right? But that proposal showed how Mon helped, Chandler to get rid of all the insecurities he had when it comes to marriages, I guess. And that also shows how badly Monica wanted to be with him, that she even chose Chandler over her most beloved ex, Richard. Yeah, the love of her life, and then not anymore. Yes. Yeah, and Muru says there are some memes with Phoebe's face on the painting. Yes, and also I'd like to go back to what Anjali said about Chandler's and Monica's relationship. It's really interesting that Chandler is the one with all the insecurities and commitment issues. But then significant moments in their relationship, he is always the one who takes the first step. Like he's the one who first says, I'm in love with Monica. He's the one who proposes that they move in together. And significant despite his commitment issues, he's the one who takes all these major first steps. And that's like really, really nice. Since we, because, and I mean, we see his progress from the first season onwards. And yes, I mean, everyone thinks that he'll be the last to get married as well. So yeah, anything you would like to contribute? Even after marriage, he gave up his job to be with Monica. Yes, so selfless. Yeah. Okay, cool. Anything else?
Let's move on then.
Yeah, sure. Okay, all right. So now, since we have already kind of warmed up, would anyone be willing to try to impersonate someone from Friends, an iconic line or anything at all? Yes, my sister does a very good impersonation of Janice. So maybe we can hear that now. Yeah, Aki?
Yeah, so this is kind of when Janice and Chandler found outside their apartment yet again kissing, like one of their many getting back together again. Okay, here goes. Oh my God! It's like a reunion over here! So this is, yeah, Monica calls everybody in to like look at Janice and Chandler kissing.
That was so close to the actual voice.
I mean, I
You close your eyes and you see Janice.
yeah, so many messages. It's just, I heard this recording. I heard Aki doing this earlier this day too, but it cracked me up. Yes, so many comments. Aki, you have so many comments. Yeah, yes, yeah. Would anyone like? Yeah,
Aki,
yes.
if I don't mind, can I ask her to do that again?
No,
That was so
okay.
perfect.
Let me get in the zone again. Okay. Oh my God! It's like a reunion over here.
That is so cool. Aki, would you like to do the? Yeah, would you like to do the other impersonations as well, if you like?
Okay. The other impersonations aren't half as exciting though. Let's see. Rachel. No. And then Monica. I know. Okay, let's say Phoebe. Nangi, Rochana, would you like to do Phoebe?
No. I mean, not after you did Janice.
Okay, can I try the Chandler and Monica thing?
Yeah, sure, you can go ahead with that.
Chandler and Monica! Chandler and Monica! My eyes!
Okay. Yeah, Aki, Sandhuni says, Takshi Aki, please send a recording to the train teachers. Aki, I have a request. Do you think could you do Janice again, if you don't mind?
Okay. Oh my God! It's like a reunion over here.
Okay, I just wanted to take a video of it. I mean, yeah. I mean, this is already recorded, but I wanted to take just that alone. Okay, cool. Yeah, Ruanti says my sister wants to know if I'm in the middle of watching an episode right now. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah.
Roshan,
Yeah. Okay. Would anyone else like to try?
we have two raised hands.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yes. Oshani.
I'm going to impersonate Phoebe, just a quote.
Uh-huh.
Her name was Regina Philangi.
Oh. Thank you.
She
Thank you.
always brings that up.
Sorry. Yeah.
Regina Philangi.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Oshani. Would anyone else like to try? Oshani, would you like to go again? Would you like to do that again?
Her name was Regina Philangi.
Nice.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. Would anyone else like to try? Yes, you have comments as well, Roshani. Thank you so much. Nice, nice. Yeah. Yeah, someone else? Would you like to go maybe with Joey's iconic phrase? Oh yeah, Ross's hi. Yeah, would anyone like to try that? Oshani, is your hand still raised? You want to do something, or was it from the previous one?
No, I'm sorry. I'll take it down.
All right, okay. So we can go like if anyone wants to impersonate, you can do that. Okay. Yeah, I still can't believe how Akshita did that on point. Right. Aki, can you try Ross's hi as well?
I can try it. I don't know. Maybe a guy can do it better, but let's see.
Yes, I think maybe Charana, would you like to do it? Charana Sandesh? Since he has typed it on the chat. If you want to, you can do it. Maybe Muru, would you like to try? Would you like to try impersonating one of the guys?
Probably I will try with Rose's hi. I'm not sure if it would go good. We'll see. Hi.
Okay, right. Oh, anything else from Ross or maybe Joey?
Well, I just want to, give me like a few minutes.
Okay, yeah, sure, no problem. Anyone else? Oh yeah, you can try unagi, Muru, the suggestions. And maybe you could try, someone could try Joey's how you doing as well. Yeah, and we were on a break. Yeah, 18 pages front and back. So yes, don't feel shy. You can raise your hand if you want to impersonate. Muru, are you ready? Do you want or do you need more time?
Yes, I might go with Tsunagi. Okay. I don't really remember the line, but yes. Yeah. Unagi is a state of total awareness. Only by achieving true unagi can you be prepared for any danger that may befall you? And then in the next scene, he would scream like, danger! And then Phoebe and Rachel, they come in and like they're screaming at Ross and unagi, like he would say like that.
Yeah, that was really good, Muru. Thank you so much. Would anyone be willing to do Phoebe's Nestle Toulouse? And then,
shall I go with that?
Okay, all right.
Nestle, yeah, it's Nestle Toulouse. Nestle Toulouse. Do you mean Nestle Toulouse? Oh, you Americans butcher the French language. She would be like that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, would you, Muru, do you want to try something else as well? And maybe you could try a pivot as well, Muru, or anyone who wants to do that. I think pivot, like Ross's and Joey's lines, would I think a guy would be able to do them better, I think. And also,
yeah, maybe pivot, probably, yeah. So Rose be like, pivot, 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 and then Chandler be like, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. Yeah, that's how.
Yes, so good.
And that was
Okay,
really
good.
good.
Yeah. Yeah, everything is so good. Oh yeah, Joey's backpack story, maybe someone could try that. I think my sister has got a request from someone to do another Janice line. Aki, do you want to try?
I think it's okay. You missed. Okay, let me try. I'll try. I can't remember this very well, but let me try. Okay, you, Mr. Right Place at the right time. Is that it?
Oh, definitely. It is.
And another thing, I love the part. I love the scenes where Phoebe tries to teach Joey French. So then she's like, "Je m'appelle Joey, mama plou plou."
And then that whole sequence of je, and then going segment by segment and then getting it wrong. Anyway.
Me poo poo.
Maybe why don't the two of you do that, Phoebe and Joey? That scene, if you can find it, like if you can do that bit.
Okay, who's Joey and who's Phoebe?
Muru, maybe Muru can do it. Yeah, it's just give once. Yeah, maybe if you can look. Yeah.
Joey.
Yes. Yeah, and Aki, you have a comment from someone. You should start a tribute act for Janice. Yeah.
Okay, Muru. 1, 2, 3. Je m'appelle Joey.
Je m'appelle Joey.
No, Joey doesn't say it.
No, I mean like you have to go like je, ma,
okay.
ma,
Do
yeah, like that.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Je,
ma,
pel,
Joey.
Joey.
Je m'appelle Joey.
Me poo poo.
Okay.
You did the pivot thing as well, right? Shall we do?
Yes.
You be Ross, I'll be Chandler.
Yeah, sure, definitely. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Pivot. 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 Yes.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
Okay.
Oh my god!
And
Like, in case if you guys have watched the bloopers, there, like, it's so adorable. Like the way they're
yeah.
smiling. Oh my god!
Yeah, and actually, there's a comment from Nivanti. It's not Joey, it's Claude, right? Gemma Pelleka.
Oh yeah.
Oh
The
yeah.
I
God,
couldn't have
yeah.
come to the night.
Je m'appelle Claude.
Something didn't sound right in this. You're right.
Okay. Right. Harine. Yeah. Yeah, you people should start a YouTube channel where you review content with those quotes like Aussie Man reviews. Yeah. Okay. Good. We can maybe return to this later on as well. Maybe at the end of this, we can have this session where people have even warmed up even more. So yeah, cool. Okay. Right. Yeah. Okay. 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 Okay, since we had this we had this really entertaining session now, so I don't know if this might be a little boring, but it's actually funny. So this different a lot of these scenes, they actually parody real life arguments and real life day-to-day conflicts that people have. So I'm just going to name 4 of them. Palavaniyaka, when Phoebe, Phoebe has this gay husband that she's been married to for 6 years. But then it turns out that he is actually straight, and the conversation that happens between them is like really, really funny. Phoebe is like, I don't understand how can you be straight, and then Duncan is like, yeah, I know, that's what I keep telling myself, but then you just reach a point where you can't live a lie anymore. And then Phoebe is like, so how long have you known? And then Duncan is like, well, I guess on some level I always knew I was straight. And then they have this whole conversation, and then Phoebe's like, well, is she the first woman that you've been with? And then Duncan is like, well, I've never told you this, but there were 1 or 2 times back in college when I'd get really drunk, go to a straight bar and wake up with a woman next to me. And I mean, the entire conversation there is like, it's obviously a parody of the usual conversation that takes place where when gay people try to come out, they always question like, how do you know for sure? And then they're like, well, I have tried experimenting, but it hasn't really worked, that kind of thing. So I mean, this conversation, because it's a straight guy who has always thought that he was gay, when he says that, I mean, this scene is like very funny, and it's supposed to show that this entire scene is ridiculous. So by that, it gives the message that if this scene is ridiculous, then obviously the opposite is also ridiculous. So that is that. And then this other episode where I couldn't find a proper picture for this. In this picture, the black and white picture, the duck is also in the picture, but it's wrong. It's not accurate. The timing is not accurate. So when Joey first gets the chick, there's this fight between Joey and Chandler about taking care of the chick. Very similar to how like the parents would talk about having babies and taking care of the babies, and one person stays at home the entire day to take care of the chick, and then when the other person comes home, then they're like, okay, then they start fighting about who gets to have fun, who has to stay at home and look after the chick. And it's like exact parody of what happens between a couple when it comes to raising a baby, basically. And then, of course, Chandler's and Joey's big fight when Joey moves out to a new apartment. I mean, that looks like straight out of a Bollywood movie sometimes. Where they show the scenes of the 2 of them just staring into the rain and reminiscing everything. So yeah, that's one. And then the one with the nap partners, the conversation between Joey and Ross. If you go back and watch this episode, I mean, the entire conversation is so funny because it's basically the kind of conversation a couple, like two people would have after spending a night together, like after a one night stand, and then they debate on not telling everyone else, and they debate on whether they should not talk about it, whether they should do it again. And so that episode is like really, really funny. So so these are just some of the episodes I decided to include in the presentation. Oh, by the way, there is something that I forgot to mention at the very beginning. I just remembered now. This entire presentation was made by Nivandi. So thank you so much, Nivandi, and I'm really sorry that I couldn't bring it up at the very beginning. This entire presentation was made by Nivandi. She's a huge fan, and she knows inside. She knows Friends inside out. And Amanti and I just added like 2 or 3 slides here and there. So thank you very much, Nivandi, for making this presentation. So yes, so these are 4 of the episodes that 4 of the where the characters they play out this parody of some conflict that actually happens in real life.
Hello, Roj.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, did we lose you?
Am I okay? Did I like start xylophoning suddenly?
I know you went completely quiet. I was wondering whether it was one of my issues.
Okay. All right. Okay. Just give me a second. I can't.
Recording in progress.
Now we are. Hello?
Yes, just give me a second. Okay, something happened. All right, okay, never mind. I'm back. And yes. Mahela?
මේ තව පැරඩි එකක් තියෙනවා රෝචනා මේ අර ඔයාලට මතකද දන්නේ මේ මොනිකා අර රේචල්ට හොරා shopping ගිහිල්ලා අහුනාම ඒ දෙන්නගේ සංවාදය
හරි නිකන් cheating
වෙන චීට් කරා වගේ සංවාදයක් යනවා එතන.
ඔව්. තව මහේල ඒ වගේව මතක් වෙනවද?
නෑ ඕක නම් මට මතකයි. ඕක මට මතකයි. මොකද එයා කියනවා මේ අර මේ කඩේක නමක් කියලා මට මතක බ්ලූමින්ඩේල් වගේ නමක් කියලා ඒකට ගියා කිව්වම අර යහනවා මුලින් වා ඒකට ගියාද කියලා. ඒකට ගියා කියලා නම් කියන්න එපා. ඊට පස්සේ මෙයා කියනවා ගියා කියලා. ඊට පස්සේ මම හිතුවේ නෑ වා මට කොහොම කරාවි කියලා. ඒ වගේ ගොඩක් දේවල් කියනවා මේ අර චීට් කරපු කෙනෙක් අහු වුණා වගේ පැරඩි එකක් තමයි එතන යන්නේ.
Yes, definitely. අර ජූලිත් එක්ක යන්නේ කවුද මොනිකා.
ඔව් ජූලිත් එක්ක යන්නේ මේ එයාට රිසිප්ට් එකකින් තමයි අහුවෙන්නේ වැඩේ.
ඔව් ඒ රිසිප්ට් එක ඒකනේ අර ටිපිකල් ප්ලොට් එකක්නේ. අර සාමාන්‍ය දාන්නේ මේ චීටින් අහුවෙනකොට. Thank you මහේල. ඒ වගේ තව තියෙනවද කාට හරි? Amanti, my this thing, the laptop එක වැහුණා. So can you start recording? Is it recording?
Yes, yes, I'm recording.
I mean, you're recording it. All right. Okay. Hi.
We'll move on.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so this is another poll. We were wondering if Chandler and Monica didn't happen. Monica had a few other boyfriends. So who do you think would have made the perfect fit for Monica if Chandler wasn't? I mean, that relationship didn't happen. So we have a poll.
Poll එක දාන්න පුළුවන්ද? මට phone එකෙන් බැහැ.
Okay.
Or maybe anyone they can do it, ne?
Yes.
Launch poll.
Okay, we have it.
Okay.
No. This is
That's poll 2, I think. Right. Okay.
okay. I guess we can end it now. No, it's still. Okay, Richard Brooke wins with a 48%. Yeah, I personally think he would have been the best fit too. Roshna?
Amanti, there is an option at the end to share it with the participants.
Okay, yeah, sure. Can you see?
I don't. I don't know if the others can see though. Can you maybe read out the results? But I can't.
Yes, we can see.
Right. Sorry. Okay. Amanti, would you mind like reading the results because I don't know. I can't see it for some reason.
It sounds like an electric. Okay, so Young Ethan has 4%, Richard Brooke 48%, Alan 0, Peter Becker 26, Joey 9, and none of the above 13%. So yeah, anybody would like to give your opinion on why you selected a specific person or why you didn't like any of them? Yes, I can see a raised hand, but I can't see the name. Roshna, could you?
It's me, Amanti.
Okay.
And yeah, Mahela. Okay. Yeah, Aki.
Okay, so I chose Pete because young Ethan, obviously Ethan is like so young that it's illegal. Alice didn't like any of her friends, and her friends are like such an important part of her life. I don't think she could give that up without, getting into a severe depression. And then Fun Bobby wasn't like fun anymore after he stopped drinking. I almost chose Richard, but then again, like Monica really wants kids, and Richard really doesn't want kids. So I think for a lifelong marriage, if you're looking at a lifelong relationship, that's pretty important. So out of all the people, I don't think Pete was such a good choice either, but I guess out of all the others, I think Pete was the best.
Aki, like, then Richard, අන්තිමටම like 3 years after that he says that he's willing to have kids. It's good like in that situation.
I feel like it's not because he truly wants kids.
Yeah.
Just because like maybe he couldn't find anyone he liked as much as Monica and all that. Like it would have been unfair on the kids if someone who
Yeah, for him.
doesn't actually want, yeah, just like has kids for other reasons.
Yeah. මහේල රේෂ ඔයාට මොකක් හරි කියන්න ඕන නේද? නැත්නම් කලින් raise your hand option එකේ වෙන්නේ නැති නේ?
කලින් එකම තමයි.
හරි. ඕකේ. ඔයාට මේකට මොකක් හරි කියන්න කැමතිද?
නෑ මාත් රිචර්ඩ් තමයි චැන්ඩලර් නැත්තන් යන්නේ. ලොකු හේතුවක් නෑ, සමහර විට ස්ක්‍රීන් ටයිම් එක වැඩිපුර තිබ්බ ඉඳ වෙන රිචර්ඩ්ගේ ගොඩක් ක්වොලිටිස් අපිට බලා ගන්න පුළුවන් වුණා. අනිත් අයගේ ලොකු ස්ක්‍රීන් ටයිම් එකක් තිබෙන රිචර්ඩ්ට සාපේක්ෂව. අනිත් රිචර්ඩ් අර හැමතිස්සෙම කොහේ හරි කොනක ඉන්නව කතාවේ ස්ටෝරි එකේ කොහේ හරි කොනක. උදාහරණයක් විදිහට චැන්ඩලර්ගේ මොනිකාගේ පස්සේ කන්වර්සේෂන්ස් වල රිචර්ඩ් දෙනවා හැමතිස්සෙම. චැන්ඩලර්ගේ ඔළුවට පවා රිචර්ඩ් දෙනවා ටක් ගාලා. ඉතින් රිචර්ඩ් කියන්නේ ටිකක් බලපෑම් සහගත චරිතයක් කියලා මට හිතෙනවා අනිත් අයට සාපේක්ෂව බැලුවම.
Right. Thank you.
ස්ක්‍රීන් ටයිම් එකත් එක කරපු ඇනලිසිස් එක මම හිතන්නේ ගොඩක් වැඩි ක්ලික් වෙන එකක් නෙවෙයි. thank you ඒක ගෙනාට.
අනිත් එක මේ අනිත් අයව පෙන්නපු එකත් ඒ ස්ක්‍රීන් ටයිම් පෙන්නොත් මම හිතන්නේ පීට්ගේ ටිකක් තිබ්බ ස්ක්‍රීන් ටයිම් ඒ උනට හැමතිස්සෙම එයාට අර hina වෙන එයාව හැමතිස්සෙම මොක් වෙන ඒවනේ තියෙන්නේ. දැන් රිචර්ඩ්ව ගොඩක් එච්චර මොක්කුන්නේ නැහැ කොහෙවත්. ඒක නිසාත් යා ඔෂානි
I chose young Ethan aside the age difference because he was so optimistic and I liked his character. I think someone like him is compatible with Monica. That's right.
All right. Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yeah, yeah, Anjali.
Yes, so I also vote for Pete for the reason that like Pete should have find someone else, right? Like from a rich family or from someone like that. But like Monica actually reject karaddi, like he like you know itcherama kamathi like no nanny after rejected by so many times. So and the reason why I didn't vote for Richard is that like kids are like when it comes to kids, it's a major thing in life, right? Like let's say I heard someone said that Rochan Aki said that after 3 years he liked to have kids with Monica. But then අපි හිතමු ඔය වගේම තව මොකක් හරි ප්‍රශ්නයක් ආවා කියලා ලයිෆ් එකේ after they got married. එතකොට then like you know that husbands should be supportive and then kids when it comes to kids also මොකක් හරි ප්‍රශ්නයක් ආවොත් like මොනිකාට blame කරන්න පුළුවන් that she wanted to have kids and all of that, but Pete ගත්තහම like he didn't care about any other thing but only Monica, right? So that's the reason that I vote for here Pete.
Right. Okay, thank you, Anjali. Yeah, and Sanjuni has a comment for butterfly effect. Yeah, if in the first season, if the officer at the airport passed Rachel's message about the birthday present to Ross, they would have gotten together much sooner. Yes, I mean, he ended up saying it to someone else, and then also they started fighting this old couple. So yes, they would have Ross would never have gotten together with Julie and all of that. And Gihan also brings up a very good point. Even though Monica left Pete for being obsessed with UFC, that type of behavior is common to Monica as well. Trying so hard to be the best at something. Yes, that is so true. I mean, both of them, they basically have the same personality. And also, even Pete's love, quote unquote, love for Monica. That I mean, he says that Monica is the most beautiful woman in the world, and that is he actually says that, right? I have everything in life. I'm the biggest businessman. I have the most beautiful woman in the world. It's again questionable. එයාගේ love එක මොකක්ද කියලා. It's just his way of getting the best in life. So yeah, thank you so much for that, Gihan. And yeah, they have the same personality basically, but yeah. Yeah, තව තියෙනවද ඒ වගේ කියන්න?
ඊළඟ එකත් මේ වගේම එකක් නිසා අපි ඒකටත් යද්ද? ඒතර ඒක
Hari. Yeah, at the end of the day, I don't think any of the others would be a perfect fit. Yes, it is Chandler and Monica all the way. And yeah, there was something so artificial about Pete and Monica. Yeah, totally. Yeah, true. Yeah, Ilangika.
So same question, roster Rachel කියන්නේ Ross Rachel relationship එක නැත්තම් මේ වගේ කොයි එක්කනද හොඳටම fit වෙන්නේ කියලා. අපිට මේකටත් pause දෙනවා. නිවන්දි ඔයාලට share කරන්න පුළුවන්ද? Right.
And while people are voting, I'll just read another message on the chat. Yeah, there was something artificial about Pete and Monica, as opposed to what Richard and Monica had in terms of their love. Yeah.
I think in Pete and Monica's thing, there was this money issue that came. That made me quite again.
Oh yes.
He's so rich. He's so rich. He has this. He has that. That again. Monica විතරක් නෙමෙයි මුළු group එකේම that was very frequent.
Yeah. Now, Ekai, Pete also does that, right? I may introduce කරනකොට I pursued her and she didn't fall for me, so I gave her a tip of $20,000.
Yeah.
$20,000 or $2,000 or something, and then she was mine. Like that's a short version. And then, my God, like I'm surprised Monica stayed for such a long time with him. Because she stayed for a significant period of time after he said that as well. So. Yeah, that's true. I had forgotten that Pete said that. Aki, so do you change your opinion of whether Monica should have stayed with Pete? Like Pete would have been a good fit for Monica?
Yeah, I think I'll go for none of them. I don't think
Okay.
it would have been a good fit either because of the kids issue. So I guess none of them.
Yeah, I wonder how it would have turned out if Joey and Monica ended up. Maitane originally, like in the original this thing, the main love story was going to be between Monica and Joey, but somehow that hadn't transpired. I think, Chandler and Joey were just supposed to be this one night thing, but then fans kept demanding that they should be together. And yeah.
I don't think Monica and Joey, I don't know though, Joey, like intelligence wise, Joey goes down a lot. I think they played him for laughs so much towards the end. Like at the start, he wasn't so stupid. He was just a bit clueless, but he was, he was of average intelligence. But gradually, they made him look stupider and stupider. So if you're talking about the really stupid Joey, then I don't think he and Monica would be a good fit at all. But season 1 Joey wasn't really that stupid. So maybe they would have got okay, but I still can't see them married or anything.
Yeah.
Should I share the results of this one?
Oh yeah, okay.
I hope you can see. Prashant, you can see this.
Yeah, I'm can you read it out?
Okay, so here Charlie has 33%, Carol 7, Emily 27, Mona 13, Phoebe and Janice 0, Bonnie 7, Elizabeth 7, and Julie 20. So yeah, කාට හරි කවුරුහරි කැමතිද explain කරන්න ඇයි එක කෙනෙක්ව තෝරගත්තේ එහෙම නැත්නම් කවව තෝරගත්තේ නැත්තේ කියලා? I think I would personally go for Charlie to think they were like these two nerds who really had the doin. Yes, Roshna, what do you think? Till someone comes.
I think I would also probably go for Charlie. I think.
But then Julie
it would have been interesting.
Someone, right?
Yeah.
Julie was also
For some reason I didn't really like Judy. I mean, she was nice. She was not a bad character. I mean, everything was about her was nice, but I don't. Yeah. I actually, my sister says I actually wish Ross and Rachel hadn't ended up together. I think Charlie was perfect for Ross. Even Mona would have been good. Yeah, මට Ross and Rachel, it's so මම නිකන් මාර toxic relationship එක. So yeah, I also don't. Yeah, and the previous thing about Monica and Joey, Sandhu says, I think they would have been happy because Joey will keep messing the apartment and Monica will keep cleaning it. And that is also true. It would be interesting to see how Ross and Phoebe would have turned out also. I mean, it wouldn't have worked, I think, but it would have been interesting to see. I don't know. And Phoebe and Joey too, but then again, එහෙම කරා නම් it would have been too you know, like I think the directors also had said something like it would have been too neat and tidy to have these people get together with each other, and that would it's nice that Phoebe was with Mike and yeah, Mark, sorry. Okay, yes. Sorry. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Okay, I'm moving on. Okay, Roshna, would you like to start?
Do you want to do the Joey one? Yeah.
So this again is like an open question. What if Joey was a female? So we were wondering like how will his character be perceived by other characters as well as the audience? Like the fact that he has so many girlfriends, flings, that side of Joey, and also this crazy obsession with food. So how will this be perceived by the audience and other characters? Any thoughts, anyone? Rosha, ඔයා අදත් මේ ගැන කතා කරද්දී
නෑ මට මහේලත් ඉන්නවා. මහේල?
ජෝයි කැරක්ටර් එක දැන් මෙයාලා මේ අපිට මම කැමති නැහැ ජෝයි කැරක්ටර් එක අන්තිමටම යූස් කරන විදියට යාලා. ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් මෙයාලා මේ ෆ්‍රෙන්ඩ්ස් පටන් අරගෙන තියෙන්නේ මේ හැම ෆ්‍රෙන්ඩ්ස්ලටම අපි දකිනවනේ හැම ෆ්‍රෙන්ඩ්ස්ලටම ස්ටෝරි එකක් තියෙනවා, යාළගේ කැරියර් එකක් තියෙනවා. එතකොට යාලා යන පාත් එකක් පේන්න තියෙනවා, යාලට වෙන වෙන ජීවිත තියෙනවා මේ පස් දෙනා එකට හිටියට. හැබැයි අර මේ අන්තිමට දැන් අර ඔයා කිව්ව විදිහේ අර රෝස් රේචල් සෙට් කරන්න අන්තිමට මෙයාලට ඕන වෙනවනේ. සහ සීසන් ගාන ටිකක් වැඩි කරගන්නත් මෙයාලට ඕන වෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙයාලා හිතපු නැති විදිහට මේක සක්සස් වෙන නිසා. ඊට පස්සේ ඒ අන්තිම සීසන් 3 අර කලින් කිව්ව මේ ජෝයි ගැන ඒක හරි. ඒ කියන්නේ ජෝයිව යූස් කරනවා මෙයාලා අර මේ සීසන් 3 ඇදගෙන යන ගොඩක් විදියට කියන්නේ අනවශ්‍ය විහිළු අනවශ්‍ය විදියට මෝඩ වෙනවා, අනවශ්‍ය විදිහේ මෝඩ කතා කියනවා, ඒ වගේ දේවල් තියෙනවා. හැබැයි මුල සීසන් ටිකේ ජෝයිගේ කැරක්ටර් එකේ හොඳ ඩෙප්ත් එකක් තියෙනවා, ඒ කැරක්ටර් එකට පාත් එකක් තියෙනවා. අන්තිම සීසන් 3 වගේ වෙද්දී ඒක සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම නැති වෙලා යනවා. මේ මොකද රයිටර්ස්ලාට ඕන වෙනවා තව සීසන් 3ක් ඉස්සරහට අරගෙන යන්න, සහ මේ රේචල් සහ රෝස් අන්තිමටම එකතු කරන්න, ෆෑන්ස්ලව සතුටු කරන්න ඕන නිසා. ඉතින් මට හිතෙනවා ජෝයිගේ කැරක්ටර් එක මේ අර හරි නරක විදිහට යූස් වෙනවා කියලා ඒ වැඩේ වෙනුවෙන්.
Hey, thank you, Ale. එයාගේ මම හිතන්නේ රෝෂනත් මේ කිව්වා එයයි රේචල්ගේ එකත් නිකන් අනවශ්‍ය විදිහට නිකන් බලෙන් උබලා වගේ තියෙනවා ප්ලොට් එකට. රෝෂනා ඔයා එක ගැන
ඒ රිලේෂන්ෂිප් ඒ මේක ජෝයි and රේචල් එක කිසිම තේරුමක් නැහැ ඒක. අමන්ති I think I interrupted you. අර මොකක්ද තව කියන්න තිබ්බද එතන?
නෑ මම වාගේ ඔපිනියන් එක ගැන කතා කරනවා.
right. අපිට කමෙන්ට්ස් කීපයක් තියෙනවා. yeah මේ Yes, I don't know your name, LLP. So he would have been slut shamed pretty bad if he were a girl, if Joey were a girl. And my sister says, I think although Joey was supposed to be a womanizer, the other characters actually slept around way more. Ironic. And Oshani gives a really good point. Girl Joey would appear as a fat girl. And yeah, I mean, Monica was made so much fun of for eating so much, but then suddenly when he's Joey, he's like supposedly in shape, and yeah, I mean, this show does a lot of fat shaming. I mean, that is like the biggest flaw I see in this show. Um, yeah, maybe Amanti, you can give your interpretation of especially the slut shaming thing, right?
Yeah. So initially, I also thought Joey female Unanam, like that part would come up, you know. But then we have Phoebe, who also is like before Mike, she's and also David. then ඇරෙන්න ෆීබිටත් ගොඩක් stable relationships තියෙන අඩුයි ගොඩක් on and off ඒවා තියෙන්නේ and a lot of flings හැබැයි කිසිම තැනක ෆීබිගේ that relationship side of her is not made fun of and අපි මම හිතන්නේ fans විතරත් ඒක වැරදියට දැක්කේ නැහැ ඒ නිසා මට හිතෙනවා ජොවි ෆීමේල් වුණත් ඒ ඇස්පෙක්ට් එක ගැන හිම ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඇති වෙන එකක් නැහැ කියලා yeah that's what I thought.
Any other opinions about that?
මේ කැරක්ටර් එකේ ෆේස් එක ගත්තොත් නම් ජෝයි කියන්නේ ජෝයිගේ ෆීමේල් කියන්නේ දැන් ජෝයිට සාපේක්ෂව රෝස්ගේ ගොඩාක් ෆීමේල් ලක්ෂණ වැඩි. ඒ කියන්නේ මට හිතෙනවා ඒ කියන්නේ එයාගේ අර උදාහරණයක් විදිහට එයා ඉක්මනට වැටෙනවා මම එහෙම නෙවෙයි කියන්නේ එයාට අර කාර් වේගෙන් ඩ්‍රයිව් කරනකොට හරි බලාගෙන ඉන්න අමාරුයි. එයාගේ ටිකක් තියෙනවා ඒ කියන්නේ මේ හරි කියන්නේ ටිකක් හරි අමුතු වෙනස් ගති ලක්ෂණ තියෙනවා මේ රෝස්ගේ ජෝයිට සාපේක්ෂව. ජෝයි එහෙම නෑ. ජෝයි ගොඩක් වෙලාවට රෝස්ට නෙවෙයි අනිත් අයට තමන්ගේ අර අපි කියන පිරිමිකම පෙන්වන්න වගේ උත්සාහ කරන වැඩ කරනවා සමහර වෙලාවට. ඔය මේ අර දොරවල් කඩන වගේ මෝඩ වැඩ කරලා තමන්ගේ ශක්තිය පෙන්වන්න හදනවා. ඒ වගේ වැඩ තියෙනවා ජෝයිගේ. ඊට සාපේක්ෂව රෝස් ටිකක් වෙනස්. රෝස් ටිකක් වෙනස් ගොඩක්ම ජෝයිගේ කැරක්ටර් එකට වඩා එතනදී.
Okay, thank you Mahela. අපිට ඒ කියන්නේ රොස් ගැනත් අපිට කතා කරන්න පුළුවන්. රොස් female character කෙනෙක් නම් මම හිතන්නේ අර especially අර insecurity පැත්ත ගත්තාම insecurities, anxieties ගත්තාම අර දැන් සමහර media වලින් පෙන්නන විදිහට like that would have been just any other girl වගේ, like it would have been totally normal for a girl to display those anxieties, those very same insecurities that Ross displays. ඉතින් ඒ පැත්තෙන් ඒක තියෙනවා. And there was this one incident, this I can't believe I got really angry at this episode when Ross feels a bit insecure about Emily and Susan being together in the episode decay. Now I think it was like perfectly valid for him to feel insecure about it, because I mean he was married to one woman for 7 years and she turns out to be a lesbian. So I think it was kind of justifiable that Ross had the same insecurities about Emily and Susan as well, but AI insecurities take a voice karanakota everyone started making fun of him. Like there was this one scene where Phoebe and Monica actually make fun of him being traumatized. So before 1992 you were okay, and then after 1992 you're suddenly jealous and possessive and all of that, and they make fun of the fact that Carol actually traumatized him. And I mean that is a big thing, right? You're married to one person for 7 years and then you find out that person is not even attracted to you, and I mean this is some person that he thought he knew well. එතකොට obviously එතකොට insecurities, anxieties එනවා, right? When you're going to get into another relationship with another person. And I feel like that, like his trauma was not was not taken seriously by the rest of the characters. Then I mean, not just the female characters, but even when it came to Chandler and Kathy and Joey and Kate, Eva Gattahamat, like people were more comforting. People listened to the other friends, listened to Joey and Chandler. You know, Ross are completely dismissed and made fun of him for being jealous and possessive and insecure about it. So that is something I felt. Any comments, any thoughts about that? Any disagreements?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think while it was remarkably progressive for Friends to show a lesbian relationship, Carol's and Susan's lesbian relationship, I think that's a separate issue. But Ross's the impact that it had on Ross, like basically Carol cheated on him, and she cheated on him, and she got together with someone else. So if it had not been Susan in that scenario, if Carol had cheated on him with another man, or in this case, like you're asking, if Ross was a female character and let's say this woman's husband cheated on her with another woman, I think a lot of people would have been more sympathetic. So I don't know, because the Carol Susan thing, how they treated Ross was like really messed up. I mean, like he was Ben's father, and they made him feel like he's just a sperm donor. So I don't think.
Aki, we are going to come to that in a little bit. Etika, can you say for that slide?
Okay. Yeah, I
yeah.
think, if Ross had been a female character, maybe some of these things would have been treated a little more seriously, whereas because he was a man, it was made fun of, which I think was not really nice.
Yes. Yeah, his trauma was completely dismissed. Nikan kisima ganak nathu nikan මේවක treat කරේ. And the other thing I wanted to bring up was අර මහේලත් කතා කරා මේ Ross එහෙම feminized වෙච්ච character එකක් එහෙමම කියලා. ඒකත් මම හිතන්නේ මේ Joey Chandler ඒගොල්ලන්ටත් එක්ක වෙනවා that they do a lot of things that are considered quote unquote feminine, especially when Chandler and Monica get together. They do knitting together, and then if you remember, there is one episode, so when Janine comes to the apartment, when Janine comes to live with Joey, she puts all these quote unquote these feminine ornaments around and makes this apartment girly. But Joey also secretly likes all of it. And then තව episode එකක් තිබ්බේ Joey and the bag which looks like a female handbag, and he's like කිසිම ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැතුව he is okay with looking quote unquote female, even though the others make fun of him. And Ethan actually, like all three of the men, they are made fun of for displaying some characteristics which might be feminine, but at the end of the day they embrace all of these things. Like they're not totally ashamed of them, they do embrace them. So that kind of gives a message to the viewers that okay, so if your favorite male character is okay with doing all of this, then there is not such a problem with it. I mean, you can also do it. I mean, there is no problem with it. So that is something I felt when I watched the show, watched the series. Aki, I don't know if this is a compliment. I mean, it is kind of a compliment. Sandhu says, is it just me, or did everyone imagine Janice's face when she talked? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking that as a compliment. Thank you, Sadhani.
Yeah. And yeah, Aki says, I think that it was progressive of the show to show the guys doing stereotypically feminine stuff, because that showed that they're just people. Yes, so that's the thing that I got as well. තව කාට හරි ඒ වගේ opinions තියනවද about this?
I have one more thing. I think I was just wondering, if Ross was a female character, would they have made fun of his PhD so much? I mean, it was a running gag in the show that, people were, again, which I think was, I don't agree with that. I don't think it was very nice behavior on the part of his friends. But I feel like if Ross was a female character and she was the one who had a PhD, that it's unlikely that that would have been sort of like a joke. Yeah.
Yeah, true.
So I don't know if it was a joke just because like he's a guy.
Yeah. And that was so sad. I mean, everyone was just so dismissive of him. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let
that
me
was
wonder.
yeah.
Sorry. Okay, you can.
Yeah.
No, Aki was saying something, right?
No, I
I know
think
I'm saying that's pretty sad because that's not what supportive friends should do. So that was kind of toxic.
yeah.
Yeah, I was actually thinking like it's surprising he was friends with them again. Very different attitudes towards that PhD and overall like the academia that he was in. So yeah. Shall we
I think maybe go to the next slide, ne? Yeah.
will you
Uh, you had something to say, right? About this? Like as a boss, that she would be normal. I don't know, something of that sort.
yeah, I'll start and we can so yeah, Monica as a male character, I felt like her bossiness wouldn't be bossy because that's again quote unquote male, like perceived as a male characteristic. So that would just be brushed, would completely be overlooked. Whereas it would be her cleaning obsession that might the OCD that might be highlighted more. But then again, as a female character, also she's highlighted there. So yeah, I think that's a good closure.
Yeah, but when it comes to the relationship, if Monica were a male character, I don't think we would have liked her so much. Again, in the relationship, she was like super controlling in some ways. Then our wedding presents are in a without Chandler, and like she's always like her competitive streak comes in there as well, where she wants to always win and all she wants to be right in everything. And she doesn't allow Chandler to have an opinion of his own wage sometimes, most of the time. And I think it's funny because it's a female character, but I think if it happened the other way around, if this was a male, if Monica were a male character, I think we would have had much more we would have found it much more problematic. I think, especially in this day and age, and even in the 90s when people talk about these things, women empowerment and all of that. Yeah, and Sandhu says, yeah, they were all a little toxic, and that's why the characters were so relatable. Yes, and that is true. I think this is with Brooklyn Nine-Nine as well. Like none of these characters, like they're not perfect at all, and that is why we like them. I think that is probably the reason I didn't like Julie as well. I think she was just too nice, and I don't know. Didn't like her, so it's kind of refreshing to see people with flaws, and like this happens in Brooklyn Nine-Nine as well. I mean, Jake has his major flaws, and Amy has her flaws, but we still like them because they're so relatable. Yeah, thank you, Sandhu, for that. Yeah, Gihan says that's why they were so relatable. Never saw that coming, but true. Yeah, Aki, do you want to say something?
Yes, I don't completely agree with you that Monica was so controlling. I mean, I think she fussed about little things. That was probably part of her OCD personality, like OCD character traits. But if you think about it, I mean, like when Chandler wasn't happy in his job and he wanted to quit, and like he didn't even have an idea as to what he wanted to do. She completely backed him up, and she was the one who like made a folder on his possible career options, and she created this huge folder with so many different career options, and she was totally supportive. So I don't think a controlling spouse would within quotes allow their husband or wife to sort of just quit a job just because he didn't want to do. They would like try to control that as much as possible, and they would discourage that. But I think for everything that counted, like when it came to major milestones in their relationship, relationship, major turning points, Monica was really supportive towards Chandler and also towards her other friends. So it was only for like really insignificant things which she appears to be controlling, and that I think is part of her OCDness. I don't really think of her as a controlling person.
Right. Okay. And yeah, I just remembered, I mean, the whole wedding dress scenario as well. I mean, she gives up the wedding dress when she realizes why Chandler wanted the swing band so much.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So
But then there are some instances in the friendship that I didn't quite like her, especially so when Janice's husband, like he has his mattress thing, and she's like, "Api horeng like with horeng gilla like buy a mattress," and then Phoebe is like, "No, this is wrong. What you're doing." And Eva mata I that there were some instances like that Monica did, which I didn't think were quite right. But then I mean, everyone is flawed, so yeah.
I don't think I don't, at least the way I see it, she doesn't display the dangerous character
Yeah,
trait.
yeah.
Truly controlling person.
Yeah. She's just, fussy and yeah, day to day life annoying sort of thing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Someone says Guy Monica would be husband material. Would be good husband material. Like I still find it a bit. I mean, I don't think I personally would have been able to tolerate a Guy Monica as a husband because of the the fussiness and the OCD sometimes. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, Guy Monica will be good husband material to the hypnotized hypnotized girl Chandler. Yeah, in a way, yes. Yeah. Okay. Harine Amanti, maybe we can move on to the next slide. Yeah. So motherhood. I think like this shows that there are other valid forms of motherhood like adoption, single parenting, and also surrogacy. I think a lot of people say that you can't be a true mother if you can just give up your children. But then with Phoebe's character, she is actually a very kind person. And for some reason, people think that so when people say things like you can't be a truly kind-hearted person if you can just give up your kids after you gave birth to them, they're kind of ignoring the fact that okay, this person willingly spent 9 months carrying carrying a baby or babies, right, as a surrogate mother, and so much happens, so many changes during pregnancy. I think people completely dismiss all of that when talking about how surrogate mothers are able to give up their children, and especially with Phoebe's character. I mean, she's so kind-hearted, she's so selfless, and so surrogacy is also shown as a very much valid form of motherhood. And yeah, Aki, would you like to talk about the same-sex parenting? Yeah, that bit about Carol and Susan, the bit that you were going to talk about.
About how I don't like the treatment of Ross.
Yes, yeah. I mean, even though it's a good portrayal of them, that is still a valid form of motherhood.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think if you put aside the same-sex part of it, Carol is the mother of the child, Ross is the father of the child, and Ross is not an absent father. He is fully present, he loves his child, and he wants to be part of the child's life. And if you think about it, Susan is the step parent. So if this was a guy, like there are some things which Carol and Susan do, like when they're trying to decide on the baby's name, they Carol and Susan decide by themselves. They try to decide on a baby's name, and they try to completely exclude Ross from it, which like it made me so angry when I was watching that. I thought that was so unfair. Because this would not be tolerated if this was not a same-sex relationship and Susan was a man, especially a man who Carol had cheated on Ross with. So in that context, it's like really inappropriate. A step parent a step parent can step into the parent role if the actual parent is like a maybe absent or abusive or just a loser in some other way. But Ross didn't deserve that treatment, I think. So while I'm really happy about I am a advocate for equal rights, and I am really happy about the same-sex relationship being portrayed in a positive way, like a proper real relationship. I think they both treated Ross very badly in that. So I think that shouldn't have happened, and that shouldn't have been played for laughs, I think.
Yeah, and in some ways that would have been completely counterproductive as well, when it comes to the right, the movement for equal rights and same-sex marriages.
Yeah,
It would
because
have been totally.
people are waiting to criticize, and then you see something like this, even in a sitcom, like they will grasp at straws and use something like this also to talk against same-sex relationships. So that's kind of a pity.
Yes. So anyone can drop their comments, but since we are running short of time, we'll go to the next slide maybe. Yeah. So yeah, Amanti, would you like to talk about Charles being the what you wanted to talk about this evening? You said something interesting.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a continuation on the same-sex not the same-sex parenting. So when we talked about Carol and Carol's character, and then she turning out realizing that she is a lesbian, that it was made fun of with regard to Ross, right? Like Ross not realizing that she's not attracted and all of that for 7 years. But she was never laughed at for her role as a mother. That was appreciated. Whereas in the case of Charles being, the fact that he was gay had, and the father figure in that structure was heavily criticized even by Chandler himself. So I don't know whether that is because that family had issues of their own, but I felt like the gay father was criticized, whereas the gay mother was not. And then the relationship of Ross, Carol, and then the two Bings, like Mr. and Mrs. Bing.
Yeah. Can I interrupt there for a bit about Charles being? Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with the problems, the domestic issues that Chandler faced during his childhood. But I think all of that, I think this show has been criticized for the transphobia as well. But I think, like, I personally feel like all of that was undercut at the end when Monica made Chandler go and visit the father, and she didn't make an issue of it at all. Like, she was completely supportive of it, and she wanted Charles Bing to come to the wedding, and they kind of made up. The relationship was kind of secured after that. So I feel like, yes, even though during the first few seasons there was some sort of transphobia, but again that was also due to domestic problems that Chandler faced as a child. But then after that, all of that was undercut by the fact that this was also seen as a valid form of parenting in some way, because at the end, I mean, there was no problem with it at all. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to say. Yes, Amanti.
Yeah, no, I think now that you said it, I remember both of them were present when Monica. Yeah, they were there at the wedding also, right? Yeah, so yeah, I guess you're right there. Yeah, that's what I wanted to add here. Roshna, you had something
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, I think that's all. Like, I don't have much to say about the other fathers, but if anyone has a comment, you can put it on the group. Someone had asked whether Charles Bing is a trans or cross dresser. I thought he was transgender, but
Yes, same. I also thought he's trans. But
okay. Yeah, maybe we can move on to the next. Frank Buffet is also interesting as a father. And yeah, Friends was progressive enough to accept lesbian couples and unconventional motherhood. Yeah, it was not progressive enough to accept trans gay people. Most cultures accepted lesbians before they accepted gays. And yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think we can move on to the next one.
Okay, so this is something we stole from How I Met Your Mother, the concept, Reacher and Settler. So we wanted to know what you think about those two roles in these four relationships, like who would be a Reacher and Settler, or whether you agree with the concept at all. Relationship එක Reacher and Settler කියලා එකක් තියෙන්න ඕනේද, whether it's unfair or whether it is there naturally. So yeah, we'd like to know what you think.
I'll start off with just my personal opinion of Chandler and Monica. Like, I think some people think that Monica is the reacher and Chandler is the settler, and some people think the other way around. But then that is like, I mean, so from some people's point of view, Monica is this really ambitious and really driven woman, and then she settles for someone as sloppy as Chandler. That's what some people think. And then the other side, other people think that Chandler is this really cool and chill guy, and he ends up with this crazy woman. So those are the two opinions. But the thing is, like, both of them, they are I mean, the qualities balance each other out, and that's pretty much the same in like our relationships as well. Generally, like, I mean, you can't really, if someone is also always going to think that one person is a reach and another person is going to think that, no, that person is a settler. Yeah, so that's that. So in that case, yeah, it's kind of silly to have that concept even. And my sister says, I think Ross and Rachel were both settlers. They both settled for each other because they both went back to what was most familiar. Okay, Phoebe and Mike and Chandler and Monica were great, healthy couples. Aki, do you know about the Reacher? Have you watched How I Met Your Mother?
Just bits and pieces here and there.
Okay, are you familiar with the Reacher and Settler concept in How I Met Your Mother?
You told me this.
Sorry?
You told me this some time back. So basically, like it's when they believe a couple is imbalanced, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
But
Okay.
I think is, don't you think? I mean, it could also be like both could be. I don't think both could be reachers, but both could be settlers, I suppose. Like, I think Ross and Rachel, like I said, they just kind of settled for each other.
Yeah. Any other comments? Any other thoughts? Okay, and again, I found Joey's and Rachel's relationship totally unnecessary. ඒක නිකන් මහේල කිව්වා වගේ හැමතිස්සෙම නිකන් ෂෝ එකක් දන්න විතරක් දැම්ම. It was like නිකන් මාර පව් Joey ඒ situation එකේ. Okay, Amanti, maybe we can go to the next slide, I guess.
Okay, so this is again a question, an open question. මේ relationships මේ අනිත් factors නැත්තම් කොච්චර කල් තියෙයිද කියලා කියන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ හිතන විදිහට Ross and Rachel Mark ගේ figure එක තිබ්බේ නැත්තම් David and Phoebe Russia තිබ්බේ නැත්තම් and Emily and Ross Ben හිටියේ නැත්තම් again අනිත් factors උත් consider කරලා මේ දෙක ගැන හිතද්දී like how do you think it would have fared these relationships?
Amanti, මේ කලින් එකට reply එකක් තියෙනවා මම ඒක කියවන්න. Gihan says Ross was stuck in his teenage point of view where he saw him an nerdy kid, Ross as a nerdy kid, reaching to Rachel, popular girl. Yeah, so that's very interesting. But then in the adult life, some people would say that it's actually the other way around in terms of like education and other qualities that Ross has. So according to some people in the adult context, Ross would be the settler and Rachel would be the reacher wage. Yeah, okay, so that's it. Yeah, with this slide. You can type it on the chat. Yeah, Aki.
So Ross and Rachel, I think even if Mark hadn't come along, because like you said, after the trauma that Ross faced after being cheated on and all that, he was like very paranoid for some time and very like insecure. So even if Mark had not come along, probably something else would have happened, and they would have broken up at some point, and they would have had this breakup, getting back together cycle going on, even if Mark had not been in the scenario, I think. David and Phoebe, I don't know. I don't see them together because David is like, he was good at that time, but he's so intense. And Mike is just so much better for Phoebe. Like, he's also just the right amount of weirdness.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, yes.
Can you?
Yeah, we
I
have.
think okay, so yeah, I think Mike is just the right amount of weirdness for Phoebe. So I think, yeah. Ross and Emily, I honestly don't know. It seemed like I have a lot of sympathy for Emily because of what happened at the altar, but the whole relationship was so rushed from the beginning, so maybe it would have fizzled out at some point.
Yeah. මහිල්ට මොකක් හරි කියන්න තියෙනවද නැත්නම් කලින් එකද රේස් නැත
රෝස් ඇන්ඩ් රේචල් තියේවි දිගටම ඩේවිඩ් ෆීබි මම හිතන්නේ තියේවි කියලා. මම හිතන්නේ ඩේවිඩ්ට තිබ්බ ආකර්ෂණය ෆීබිගේ අර වැඩියෙන් කියන්නේ ඒක නිකන් හරි මේ අර හරි මේ ෆැන්ටසි එකක් රිලේෂන්ෂිප් එකක් වගේ හින්දා වෙන්න ඕනේ. ලොකු කැමැත්ත තිබේ. කියන්නේ යාළුවෝ වෙලා ඉන්නවා, මෙයාට මේ ගොඩාක් දුර රටකට යන්න වෙනවා, ඒක හින්දා මතකේ තියෙනවා. නැත්තම් මම හිතන්නේ හැමතිස්සෙම පේන්න තිබ්බනම් ඒ සම්බන්ධය එක දිගට තියේවි කියලා. රෝස් ඇන් එමිලි මටත් එමිලි ගැන අනුකම්පාවක් තියෙනවා. එමිලිට වුණු වැඩේ හරි නෑ කියලා. ඒත් රෝස්ගේ ඩිවෝස් කරන්න තියෙන ආසාව කොයි වෙලාවෙ හරි මතු වෙයිද දන්නේ නෑ කියලා හිතෙනවා.
හැබැයි ඒ ඩිවෝස් කරන ඒ ආසාව එහෙම දැන් ඒ අර හැමෝම විහිළු කරන ආසාව කියනකට ඇත්තටම උනේ
ඒ වුණාට ඒ හැම තැනකදීම රෝස්ගේ වැරදි තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ එයාගේ පැත්තෙන් මේ වැරදි තියෙනවා. ඒක හරි අවුලක්. ඒ කියන්නේ මං හිතන්නේ එතන තියෙන පළවෙනිම අවුල තමයි රෝස්ගේ. රෝස් හරි කෙනා තෝරගන්න නැති එක. මේ ඒක හින්දා තමයි එහෙම වෙන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ හරි ඉක්මන් තීරණ වලට යනවා. මේ ගොඩක් වෙලාවට මේ රෝස් ඉක්මනට වැටෙනවා, ඉක්මනට මේ තීරණ ගන්නවා, අනිත් කෙනා සතුටු කරන්න try කරනවා. මේ ඒ වගේ දේවල් රෝස්ගේ තියෙන නිසා මම හිතන්නේ ඒක තියේවි කියලා කොහොම වුණත් එච්චර කාලයක්. රෝස් ඇන්ඩ් රේචල් නම් කොහොමත් තියෙන්න ඕන. මොකද ඒක තමයි කතාව ඉස්සරහට අරගෙන යන්නේ.
හැබැයි මෙහෙම එකක් තියෙනවා, ඒගොල්ලෝ දිගටම කන්ටිනියු වුණත් ඒත් සමහරවිට තියෙන්නේ නැති. මොකද මේ කතාව දුවන්නේත් ඒගොල්ලෝගේ බ්‍රේක්අප්ස් මතත්නේ. ඒකක් තියෙනවා ඉතින්. Gihan කියනවා fantasy relationship. This the fantasy relationship similar case with submarine guy. And then Aki says agree about the fantasy relationship on David's part. Right. Amanti, maybe we can move on. But the others, if you have anything, you can type it on the chat.
Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So yeah, we wanted to just ask you, maybe you don't have to explain it out, but how important do you think these characters were in propelling the plot forward and, yeah, basically to the plot? Usha? Anything?
I don't have anything to say about this. Uh, yeah, I loved them all. My sister says I love them all. Yeah, they were so, yeah, they were like very interesting. They provided a lot of like I can think of like humor in terms of humor, but and in terms of plot, like Gunther training Rachel and then Rachel getting sick of the job, Frank Jr. and the pregnancy.
In Joey and Chandler's, that thing with Kathy, something, he has something to do with it. He messes them up every now and then. Like the secrets and everything, he's the one who knows all of it because I have him a feeling good. Yeah,
Then he told Rachel about Ross sleeping with Chloe.
yeah.
I can't remember Joey and Chandler though. But yeah, but he doesn't.
Yeah, Elena ඔක්කොගෙම secrets ටික දැනගෙන ඉන්න character කොයි.
Amanti, maybe we can go to the next slide. So the last slide, and that maybe that can generate a this. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, Amanti, you can go.
This is again just asking for your opinion. Then ගොඩක් major plot twists වෙන්නේ New York වලින් එළියේ. So අපිට තිබු ප්‍රශ්නේ තමයි දැන් අපිට පුරුදු වටපිටාවෙන් එළියට ගියාම අපිට set කරන් තියෙන rules ඒවාගෙන් වෙනසක් වෙනවාද කියන එකද මේ කියන්නේ by taking the major plot twists outside New York, is that what they're trying to show? ඒ කියන්නේ ලොකුම එක තමයි Joey and sorry Chandler and Monica එතන අර කියන්නේ all rules went out the window. Rachel Ross ගේ එකත් ඒ දෙන්න කියන්නේ හොඳටම agree වෙලා හිටියේ that they don't want to date again කියලා ඒකත් කියන්නේ changed. So it's actually a question, Kenny. What do you think of that idea? අපි geographically familiar තැන් වලින් එළියට ගියාම අපිට තියෙන rules, do they break down or do they stop existing? Nasha, why the counter kara in the morning?
Yeah, my point was that again, like even though these things happened outside, Muladi, there were a lot of other things which also happened in New York, just that we don't see them as big things. But I think, like you said, a major okkama loku eva venne outside New York tama. So just like you said, yeah, I don't have any countering point against that.
මේ රෝචනා මේ ලන්ඩන් එකයි මම එනවනේ නේ ලන්ඩන් එකයි ලාස් වේගස් එක නේද ලාස් වේගස් එකයි නම් මම හිතන්නේ එයාලගේ ෂෝ එක ප්‍රොමෝට් කරන්න කරපු ලන්ඩන් එක නම් ඒ කියන්නේ මෙයාලා හිතපු නැති විදියට මේක රීච් වෙලා තියෙනවා ගොඩක් තැන් වලට ගොඩක් අය බලන්න පටන් අරගෙන තියෙනවා මේ එතකොට දැන් ලන්ඩන් වලට මෙයාලා ගිහිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ ඒ කියන්නේ ෂෝ එක ප්‍රොමෝට් වෙන්නත් එක්ක කියන්නේ ලොකු බජට් එකක් දාලා සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කරන විදියට නැතුව ලොකු බජට් එකක් දාලා හේ සෙට්ස් හදලා ඒ වැඩේ කරලා තියෙන්නේ ඒක හින්දා කියලා තමයි ඒක කියන්නේ ලාස් වේගස් එකත් ගොඩක් දුරට එහෙමයි අනිත් දෙක නම් ඒ කියන්නේ අදහසක් නැහැ උනාට දැන් මෙයාලට එක පැත්තකින් ස්ටෝරි එකත් ඉස්සරහට ගෙනියන්න ඕන අනිත් පැත්තෙන් එයාලගේ ක්‍රවුඩ් එකත් අල්ලගන්න ඕන මේ හැමදේම එයාලා බැලන්ස් එකේ කරලා තියෙනවා ඒක හින්දා තමයි මෙච්චර ප්‍රසිද්ධ වෙන්නේ නැත්තේ මේකට
Oh, thank you, Mahela. Mahela තමයි අපිට සාමාන්‍යයෙන් film discussions වල ඔය වගේ පැති introduce කරන technical පැත්තයි shows promote වෙන විදිහයි සාමාන්‍ය Mahela තමයි අපිට කියන්නේ. තව කාට හරි කියන්න තියෙනවද? Yeah, it's probably a psychological effect. When they move to an unfamiliar place, they tend to get closer and consider more important. Oh, that's really interesting. A theory. They tend to get closer and consider more important the people they are familiar to. Yeah, that's like a really interesting addition to Aman's theory. Yeah. suddenly you stop seeing these people. You start seeing differently the people that you see every day. So yeah, that's really interesting. I think maybe Amanti, we can move on it. I think the next one is the last slide, I think.
I think that's good. Yeah, we should have put this. I really like this one. So
Yeah, we'll just, yeah.
we'll quickly go through it. So make api can it's again a question. The main characters are ගොඩක් අයට ඉන්නවා siblings and ඒ siblings ගොඩක් වෙලාවට මේ ජොයිගේ එක අපි දන්නේ නැහැ මෙතන ගොඩක් ඉන්න නිසා ඒගොල්ලට හම්බෙන focus එක අඩුයි අනිත් අයගේ siblings ඒගොල්ලෝ අර main character එකට අපි දැක්ක නිකන් alternative versions වගේ. ඒ කියන්නේ example එකකට ගත්තොත් Phoebe and Ursula ඒ දෙන්නටම හරිම traumatic childhood එකක් තිබ්බා. ඊට පස්සේ ඒ දෙන්න මම දකින විදිහට ඒ experience එක නිසා තමයි ඒ දෙන්නගේ characters දෙක ඒ විදිහට ගියේ. But both of them would be coping mechanisms. That's what we thought. ඒ කියන්නේ Ursulaගේ අර හැමතිස්සම අනිත් අය කියන්නේ push කරන habit එක, that's her way of coping with the trauma of losing people, so she doesn't want to get attached. Whereas Phoebe is the exact opposite. She's trying to deal with that trauma by creating what she didn't have, so friends and family. So that Evage, we thought these siblings gave the alternative line to another character in the play, in the series. So ඒකේ ගැන ඔයගොල්ලෝ මොහරි add කරන්න තියෙනවා නම් be welcome.
මේ රචනා මේ උර්සුලා කැරක්ටර් එක මුලින්ම තැවිලා තියෙන්නේ මේ NBC එකේම Mad About You කියන සිට්කොම් එකත් එක්ක. ඒකේ උර්සුලා ඇත්තටම waitress කෙනෙක්. දැන් එයාගේ ෂෝ එක Mad About You තිබිලා තියෙන්නේ මට මතක විදිහට 8ට 8 pm තමයි තිබිලා තියෙන්නේ හැම බ්‍රහස්පතින්දාවකම. එතකොට 8:00ට තමයි Friends වැටලා තියෙන්නේ. දැන් එකම ටයිම් ස්ලොට් දෙකක එක ළඟ ටයිම් බෙල්ට් දෙකක එකම කෙනෙක් රඟපාන එක අවුල් හින්දා තමයි උර්සුලා and Phoebe මෙයාලා සහෝදරියෝ කරලා තියෙන්නේ. හැබැයි උර්සුලාගේ අර කැරක්ටර් එකම තමයි මේ ෂෝ එකට ගෙනල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. Friends එකට ගෙනල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. හැබැයි වෙනස්. ඒ කියන්නේ Phoebe හොඳ අර ගිරව් දෙන්නයි කතාවේ වගේ හොඳ කෙනා, හොඳ පැත්තට වැටුණු කෙනා. උර්සුලා ට තියෙන නෙගටිව් අයිඩියාස්. හැබැයි ලීසා කැමති වෙලා නැහැ ෆ්‍රෙන්ඩ්ස් එකෙන් ඒ කියන්නේ උර්සුලාගේ කැරක්ටර් එකට කරන දෙයට. කියන්නේ ලීසා කුඩ්රෝනේ රඟපාන්නේ. එයා කැමති වෙලා නැහැ මේ ෆ්‍රෙන්ඩ්ස් එක ඇතුලේ. කියන්නේ උර්සුලා ගොඩක් නෙගටිව් විදිහටනේ අපිට පේන්නේ. එයාගේ ඉන්ටර්විව්ස් තියෙනවා මම බලලා තියෙනවා. එයා කියනවා මේ එහෙම එච්චර නෙගටිව් කැරක්ටර් එකක් නෙවෙයි උර්සුලා කියන්නේ. මම මේකට එච්චර කැමති නෑ. එයා ගොඩක්ම නෙගටිව් කරලා පෙන්නපු එකට කියලා කියනවා. Mad About You බලුවම අපිට පේනවා උර්සුලා ඇත්තටම එච්චර නෙගටිව් කැරක්ටර් එකක් නෙවෙයි. හැබැයි don't care කැරක්ටර් එකක්. කවුරු මොනවා හරි කිව්වම ගණන් ගන්නෑ. වචනෙන් දෙකෙන් උත්තර දීලා එහාට යන කැරක්ටර් එකක්. ඒක සහාය චරිතයක් විදිහට තමයි ඒකේ තියෙන්නේ.
Right. Thank you, Mahela. Gihan's comment එකක් තියෙනවා, is Rachel that different from her siblings? She shared the spoiled brat traits. Yeah. I think, I mean, basically Rachel just got out of that situation. Otherwise she would have also just been the same as the sisters, Amy and Jill. So yeah, that's that. And Aki, can you explain your comment?
So what I mean is, we always sometimes we don't think too much about Rachel getting out of that situation. I mean, you also just said yeah, she got out of that situation, so thankfully she changed. But if you think about it, that required a lot of guts. She literally left her husband to be at the altar, and that's a huge step for her to take. So and then after that also, she didn't go running back to what was familiar to her. She stayed and she put in a lot of effort and commitment, and she became independent, which is what makes her different from her siblings, because they didn't do that. They just stayed within that system and complained about it when they didn't get their way.
Yeah, I think Mindy also. Then Mindy, when she found out that Barry was cheating on her with Rachel, she was like she was determined to be Dr. Barry something. So yeah, so yeah, basically what you just said. At least Rachel had the guts to move out, and she wanted to get out that situation. Yeah, that's that. So it's not the same as the other sisters. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, sorry, I didn't get your comment because I thought it was in relation to Phoebe and I was a little confused. Uh, okay, maybe Amanti, we can maybe move on. Yeah,
This is the okay. I think this is the last one.
the last slide. Okay, there's a poll for this. Maybe Nivanti, can you put the poll? Who do you think the seventh friend is? I think I put. No, wait, I don't think I put the poll.
I think we have
I don't. Nane, Hari. Okay. Yeah. So, who do you think the seventh friend is? You can type it in the chat, or you can talk about it if you want.
I think the poll is for something else. The
Yeah.
poll is who is the best.
Yeah, I think we had that at the beginning. Yeah. Yeah, that's sorry. Wait, Amanti, I can't see the poll, so I have no idea if the poll is on.
No, I stopped. I ended it.
I stopped it. Hari, okay. Okay. So who is the seventh friend? Mike, Janice, a close second. And I put the duck and the chick because I thought they were adorable. So, any other comments? Amanti, you had an interesting thing to say about Mike, right? I think people like even I would say Mike, but you had this other theory about it.
Yeah, initially, when I thought Mike would be the seventh, then I think this came with the reunion thing. There they said this story is about that time in life where friends are family. By the time Mike joins the clique, that kind of has ended, right? Again, Ross and Rachel has a baby. They have a baby together, and they have decided to date again. Again, we can see that unit forming. එතන ඊට පස්සේ Chandler and Monica is forming a family. එතන මට හිතෙන්නේ මයික් ජොයින් වෙන්නේ මේ අර කියන පීරියඩ් එක ඉවර වෙනකොට. So අර friends කියන frame එක ඇතුලේ I don't think Mike is the seventh friend. He's definitely part of the clique. But if we look at it in terms of the seventh friend, මං හිතන්නේ ඒ position එකට එන්න ඕනේ අර මුළු journey එකේ මේගොල්ලෝ එක්ක හිටපු කවුරු හරි qualifies better than Mike who joins when they are actually going in different ways. So yeah, that was my theory. Emunot, I think the only candidate for it would be Janice.
Oh, maybe the duck and chick.
For them. Maybe yeah.
He was there in the coffee house.
Yeah, he was always.
But this is all true. But Janice wasn't accepted by the six friends. Yeah, I guess that's the same with Ganta as well. He wasn't accepted.
Yes.
So then the duck and the chick then. But any other answers? Is there another friend that you could think of? Seventh friend, maybe not even part of the part of the show, maybe.
You had something.
There's a comment from Mahil about Joey's reaction when Janice enters. Yeah, when they share the screen, it's so funny. Joey and Janice,
Yes.
whatever scene they're in, it's always so funny. Yeah, the seventh friend, any comments? Any idea as to who a potential seventh friend might be? It's not about the friends it's about the character the audience connects to the most out of the main cast. Outside the main cast. Okay, so that is also one point. Like even if Janice and Gunther weren't accepted, all right. Okay, from outside, yeah, outside the cast. Okay, so even if so, basically, according to him or her, uh, even if Gunther and Janice weren't accepted, it's about the audience. Okay. Well, I we could also put another interpretation as to, so if this is someone who has been there throughout, maybe we are the seventh friend, kind of a creepy seventh friend because we don't talk and we don't get involved, but we watched their progress from the very beginning and to the end. So maybe we are a potential seventh friend, maybe. I don't know.
That friend in the group
Uh,
that who never talks.
Yeah, exactly. WhatsApp groups that are, the one who never talks but reads all the messages. Yeah. Any thoughts about that? Any disagreements about that? Or any comments in favor of that? Okay, maybe we can just move on to the next one. That is for sure the last one, right? With the poll. Yeah, we have yeah, that's a good theory. Okay. Right. Okay, maybe we can have the poll now.
Could you please share it?
I'm sorry for messing up the previous one, though. I forgot that the poll was for this slide. So, yeah. Who do you think is the best friend out of all of them?
Okay, I think I'll stop it. Everyone has voted, I think. Okay, this is interesting.
Amanti, can you read it out? I can't see.
Yeah. So majority says it's Joey, who has 50%, and then close second is Chandler with 40, and then Monica with 10. Interestingly, Phoebe doesn't have anybody supporting her, and I of course expected Ross and Rachel not to have any. So yeah, anybody would like to explain why maybe let's selected these people?
Amanti, who do you think the best
I'd
friend is?
say Joey too, I think.
Right. And my sister says I think Chandler had the best character arc. Yeah. I think for me personally, it's Phoebe and Joey. Like they come very close. I think I would pick Phoebe over Joey, I think.
I totally agree with Phoebe. I mean, I do agree she's real close. But the thing with
Yeah.
Phoebe, like my problem is, even today I was watching an episode, she unintentionally does things that actually harms other people. She's not evil-minded or anything, but break නැතුව හේ කියන් ගිහිල්ලා මොකක් හරි, and that has serious repercussions in the relationships, like others' relationships. Especially, I think Chandler and Monica has some
Joey
fights.
let it out. Yeah.
කියන දෙයක් නිසා. ඒ හන්දා මේ Joey on that side, on the other hand, is quite careful. He keeps secrets and all of that. So I like.
I think I like Phoebe mostly because there are many instances where I felt like Monica wasn't being a really good friend. There are some instances, I think I mentioned one of them before. It was Phoebe who, tried to sort of do some damage control. I think, yes, oh my God, I loved that scene too. Joey is the only one who refuses to watch the porn movie when he thought that it was Phoebe in it and everyone else wanted to watch it, and that was like really good. I mean, people, I mean, Joey is always portrayed as his womanizer, and he himself, embraces that identity. But when it comes to his friend, he wanted to, uh, respect those boundaries, and that was really, really cool. Yeah. So, yeah. And he gives a perfect kiss, and he's extremely loyal. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, Amanti.
You done?
Yes, I'll just read. He took Chandler to the awards their ceremony instead of a date, and Tharusha says he's extremely loyal. Yeah, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
It's not the award ceremony. It was a movie premiere, I think, if I remember right.
One of his one that he got invited to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, he took Chandler for it because he said, he wanted to give something back because Chandler is always looking after him. So I thought that was really sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the best friend, I guess.
But I felt like sometimes Monica was an anchor figure, like in some place. It's at her place that they get together, and she's sometimes playing this mother figure kind of role where I know she's extremely OCD and hard to tolerate, but she had that
Yeah, I
task.
mean, not everyone would have tolerated that, everyone coming and hanging out at her place like that. But then again, again her OCD comes to play where she wants to be the hostess. So
that is
more like having that place of the domestic power sort of thing. I don't know.
So
Yeah, Joey is the best friend, but Joey is the best friend, but Monica is the glue that binds the group together. So yeah, what you said, Amanti. And Joey was written as a flat character compared to others with their good bad sides to be utilized for the storyline. It is easy to like him. Yeah, that's a good interpretation. Yeah.
I also kind of agree with that because I think compared to the other characters, he didn't really grow and mature that much. I mean, we follow them over several years. Like Chandler has such an amazing, like I said, he has an amazing arc. He grows and matures, and so does Monica, and a lot, and Rachel also. But Joey doesn't really. He kind of regresses. He gets stupider, and like I think Mahela said, he's just played for laughs, and he becomes a plot point. And it's a pity because he's a good character and there was a lot of potential.
Yeah. Amanti, maybe we can.
I've been waiting to share this over.
So once again, thank you so much, Nivandi, for preparing this presentation for us. The presentation itself was very entertaining, right, with the GIFs.
And it has gone to find the GIFs.
Yes, exactly. Saving all. I mean, I don't think either of us would have done something like that. We would just copied and pasted a picture, random picture from the slide. That is how our slides are. Like, the slides that we included, we just have just pictures copied off. So yes, thank you so much, Nivanti, for the presentation you made. And yeah, Amanti, do you have anything to say?
No.
Okay, so does anyone have anything to contribute since we are like ending the session now? Okay.
Thank you for having this. Me and my brother enjoyed it a lot.
All right. Thanks, Tarusha. Glad you and your brother enjoyed it. And thanks for contributing to the discussion as well. I had no idea that it was you because of your
Yeah. But Kamali who kind of let you know that it was me, Kira. So we were watching from the sidelines and commenting now and then.
All right.
And thank you, Nivandi, for the presentation was really lovely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think. Yeah, Nivandi says I had fun making the presentation. Glad you all enjoyed it. Yes, thank you so much again. Any other, closing remarks? Anything anyone would like to say?
I'd just like to make a closing remark. I think this is something you said right at the start about Friends getting a lot of criticism these days because of lack of diversity. Like the main 6 characters are all white and all that. But at the end of the day, we have to remember that there were a lot, like for its time when it was made in the 90s, it was very like it has a lot of very progressive themes, and some of those themes are progressive even for today. Like these are things like equal rights and all those things, people still have issues with it today. So like it is a show that is far ahead of its time.
Yes, and also I have this problem with some of the criticisms that are made of Friends that even in Sri Lanka that people make. I think so. In Sri Lanka, Friends is anyway this niche topic, right? It's not something that everyone watches. It's just a very select uh, percentage of the entire country that watches this, and we are somehow getting all hot and bothered about something. Like it's more like it's we can enjoy this in one way because it is again totally alien to us in some ways, because most of these problems don't really affect us anyway. In that context, like if you were if someone was living in America, maybe this would be problematic, the lack of diversity and all. But sometimes I feel like most of the criticism that comes from people in Sri Lanka is again coming from a place of privilege, sort of. Maybe we can discuss this later at some other presentation about Friends when we are into a more critical discussion of it. Like, yes, obviously media has some kind of influence that shapes all of us, and whatever happens there is definitely going to affect us here as well. But then so there is this tendency where whenever we see something on social media, we try to make that fight our fight, when in reality we have other problems that we should be addressing. I don't know, maybe, yeah, okay. We can discuss that later on. And I think Gihan has given a very nice comment. Thank you, Gihan. So maybe that can be a concluding remark. So before that, Amanti, would you like to say something?
No, Roshan, no. Let's go ahead with the comment.
Okay. Yeah, Nivanti, would you like to talk since yeah, since you made the presentation? Okay, probably not. Okay, and we have this expert in Friends who doesn't really want to talk. But anyway, never mind. Thank you so much for the presentation again. So I'll thank Gihan for his comment. Yeah, could Plain Tea be any more awesome? Thank you so much, Gihan. It's really nice to hear this at a discussion like this. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming. And so next week is the useless trivia night. So bring in everything that you want to discuss. We'll put up a poster within the next 2 days. So you can send us whatever you want to be on whatever you want on the presentation. So yes, thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night and stay safe. Bye.